Who are you fooling when you lie to yourself about your financial position? What does the 5 love languages and your relationship with your partner have to do with being intentional with your money? Do you really believe the problem will just go away if you simply put your head in the sand like an ostrich and ignore your money problems? This so-called expertise that I claim to have is only possible because of many expensive lessons learned over many years. I can help you not only on your journey to financial wellness, but also a little bit in your intentional journey to a much healthier and more fulfilling relationship.
You're listening to Intentionality with Paul Kempff.
Have you ever heard of the 5 love languages? Have you ever thought about how to apply the 5 love languages to your finances? Well, I have, and in today's episode, I want to challenge you to think around money differently by sharing with you my take on the 5 love languages and how you can apply it to your finances. It's not necessarily 5 love finance languages, but more 5 love language principles or concepts that I want to share with you. Principles that I believe will help you become more intentional around your money, and as a bonus, maybe even help you with your love life. Now, when I say love life, I mean your relationships, your marriage. It has been quite some time since we spoke about the topic of money on IWPK, and it is high time because, after all, it is part of the tagline of Intentionality with Paul Kempff: Mind, Money, Life. And at the risk of sounding arrogant, if there are 2 things that I've become a bit of an expert on, it is first, being intentional in your life, and second, and more specific, being intentional with your money. Now, a quick disclaimer, I'm not claiming to be an expert on the art of making money. It's simply that from my personal experience and my experience in advising clients over their finances or on their finances for the last 25 years, I have become a bit more of an expert on being intentional around your money and your relationship with money. And make no mistake, this so-called expertise that I claim to have is only possible because of many expensive lessons learned over many years. So my hope is in today's podcast about being intentional with your money, I will be able to save you from having to learn these expensive lessons that I have learned in my life. A few weeks ago in the Intentionality with Paul Kempff episode, The Power of Intentional Fun, instead of giving my tip of the week at the end of the episode like I usually do, I gave you my tip of the week in the middle of the episode. I'm going to do it differently again today. I'm going to give you the tip of the week right now, right here, at the beginning of this episode. And the tip of the week is a book again. It's the book, The 5 Love Languages, written by Gary Chapman. Now, this book was written in 1992. It's a famous book. It's a highly recommended book, and it's my recommendation for this week. I read this book decades ago, but I still firmly believe in all the ideas that Gary Chapman shares in this book. I think it's of tremendous value, and I really want to encourage you not only to go and read this book. There are many courses that you can do around this book or with this book to determine what your specific love language is. And even more importantly, what the specific love language of your spouse or partner is. I want to encourage every single couple out there to do this together, somewhere in your life, once in your life. I really challenge you to find out what your and your partner's love language is. It will be well worth your while to do this challenge and to make this investment in the most important relationship in your life. So hold on. I said we're going to be doing an episode on money again. And all I'm talking about so far is love. Even my recommendation is around love languages. So where does the money come in? I hear you thinking. What does the 5 love languages and your relationship with your partner have to do with being intentional with your money? I'm going to explain two things. First, money is often the number one source of relationship strife. Despite it playing such a crucial role in relationship dynamics, just as people express love in different ways, people also have different financial personalities. And I was hoping by exploring the potential link between money and the love languages, and by discussing the importance of recognizing and respecting your spouse or partner's financial habits, I can help you not only on your journey to financial wellness, but also a little bit in your intentional journey to a much healthier and more fulfilling relationship. Secondly, I had this weird and wonderful idea that I could apply some of the principles of Gary Chapman's book to your relationship with your money, to see if I could find similarities in the love languages when it comes to money, and maybe even extract some principles that we could all learn today about how to work with your money, how to be more intentional with your money. Now, I have shared principles around your relationship with your money many times before in IWPK. In fact, the first 10 episodes was all about money and about your relationship with money. I don't want to go there again. I'm hoping that today I can share with you some more interesting and less obvious principles around your relationship with money. So, armed with a great idea, I started doing some research over the last few weeks, only to discover that unfortunately, although still potentially a good idea, it wasn't an original idea. Many people have thought of this topic before. Many people before me have written interesting articles and opinion pieces around this topic. There are even a few podcast episodes and YouTube videos on this topic. The only good news I could find, luckily, was that nobody had written an article yet or done an episode yet about the 5 specific principles around your relationship with money that I want to share with you today. So at least there's some original content in this episode. Now, before we get to that original content I promised, let me share with you some of the more interesting insights that I found in the research that I did for today's episode. A number of authors have already taken the 5 love languages of Gary Chapman and applied it directly to your relationship with money. Just as a reminder, for those of you that have not read the book, that do not know what the love languages are, they are firstly words of affirmation, secondly quality time, third physical touch, fourth acts of service, and 5 receiving gifts. Do you know yet which one of these languages is your love language, is the love language of your spouse? Remember that challenge that I threw out at the beginning of this episode. Now, drawing inspiration from the 5 love languages and extending that to your finances, I believe the 5 financial love languages can offer valuable insights into your and your partner's preferences and behaviors concerning money, encapsulating how individuals feel valued and secure in money matters. So let's start with the first love language, words of affirmation. For some people, financial security and stability bring immense comfort. If your partner resonates with this financial love language, he or she feels valued and secure when you openly communicate about things like budgeting strategies, saving goals, or even responsible spending habits. Regular discussions about money, along with words of encouragement and acknowledgement of financial achievements, serve to reinforce your sense of stability and trust in the relationship. The second love language, quality time. For those of us with this love language, creating memories and connecting through shared experiences more than accumulating possessions resonate. For couples who value quality time, activities like budgeting together, planning for holidays, discussing financial goals become more than just financial tasks. These shared experiences become opportunities to strengthen your bond, to build financial literacy together as a team, and to solidify your commitment to achieving your financial dreams together. If we then look at the third love language, acts of service. Acts of service entail taking proactive steps to support your partner's financial well-being and to alleviate any shared financial burdens. This could involve things like handling bill payments, researching investment options, or creating a budget spreadsheet. By actively contributing to each other's financial successes, you demonstrate your commitment to shared prosperity and build trust in your ability to rely on each other during times of financial change or uncertainty. If we then move on to the fourth love language, receiving gifts. If this is your financial love language, you find emotional significance in tangible expressions of financial support and generosity. For you, receiving gifts signifies emotional investment and care from your partner. These gifts could include contributions to saving goals, paying off debts, or funding meaningful experiences that will enhance your quality of life. The fifth love language, physical touch, is the more difficult one to equate to your finances. I do think that in a certain way, this love language, physical touch, is about physical touch when it comes to your money. Maybe your need to touch money or to have money in your wallet. But I also think it's more about security. Financial stability and a sense of security are paramount with people with this love language. You seek reassurance and peace of mind through prudent financial planning, emergency funds, and long-term financial stability. By prioritizing financial security, you and your partner can work together to establish clear financial goals. It is crucial, if this is your love language, to maintain open communication about financial matters while striving to build a secure financial future together. This focus on security creates a solid foundation for your relationship and cultivates a sense of trust and stability that extends beyond pure monetary concerns. Now, understanding your partner's financial love language is a very powerful first step in this process, but it's just the beginning of your financial journey towards a more secure future. Remember, a healthy financial relationship is a collaborative effort built on trust, respect, and shared goals. And there are some amazing ways on which you can build on this foundation that I want to share with you today. The first one is communication and compromise. Effective communication is essential for navigating differences in financial styles within a relationship. It's important to discuss your respective attitudes to money, including your goals, fears, and spending habits. By approaching these conversations with empathy and understanding with your partner, you can find common ground and identify areas where compromise might be necessary. The second one is respecting differences. Yes, it's an obvious one, but this can be achieved by truly listening to your partner's concerns and aspirations around money. Rather than viewing contrasting financial styles as a source of conflict, consider them as opportunities for growing and learning. And embrace the unique perspectives that you and your partner bring to the table, and strive to find ways to complement each other's strengths and weaknesses when it comes to managing your finances. Third, find common ground. It is natural for partners to have differing financial styles, but finding common ground is pivotal for a robust financial future. Identify shared goals and priorities, whether it's saving for a house, planning for retirement, or traveling around the world. By aligning your visions for the future, you can work together towards achieving your dreams while respecting each other's individuality. There's also some practical tips for couples that I have found in my research. Things like scheduling regular check-ins around your finances. I think as important as a date night is for a couple on maybe a weekly or monthly basis, I think a finance date can be equally important in contributing to your long-term well-being of your relationship. Things like developing a budget together that accommodates both partners' spending habits, dividing financial responsibilities in the household, and being mindful of your partner's financial background, values, and emotional triggers when discussing your finances is equally important. And then, of course, if none of the above really works for you, you can consider seeking advice from a professional, whether it's a financial planner, whether it is a counselor, somebody that can help mediate financial disagreements and help you to develop a professional plan for managing money as a couple.
I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, the FFG Group of Companies. Take another step into living a more intentional life by being more intentional with your finances and insurance. As a trusted provider of a wide range of financial services, the FFG Group offers innovative, tailored solutions that help companies and individuals thrive and flourish. They are an amazing company that I believe in because they embody intentionality in everything they do, and I'm proud to partner with them. FFG is an authorized financial services provider. Ready to take the next step? Click the link below and start making better, more intentional financial decisions, or visit their website. Remember, with FFG, you create the memories, we ensure the journey.
Now, yes, I agree. It's probably a bit of a stretch to just take these 5 love languages developed by Gary Chapman and to apply them to finances. But I still think it's an interesting idea. It's also probably a bit of a stretch to try and just classify people's financial personalities into 5 very narrow love languages, especially if you consider how many factors actually influence the relationship people have with money. Just think, for example, to your own personal history and experiences. What if in the past somewhere you had lost a huge amount of money because of a stupid mistake you made or a stupid mistake that somebody else had made? If something like that happens to you, you're always going to have anxiety around money. You're going to desire more financial security, and it's going to be difficult for you to trust somebody around money. I've already spoken about the fact that people have very different underlying financial personalities. And I think it's important to also understand that our education, our cultural differences, the examples that we grew up with, and things like traumatic experiences around money, all shape our way of thinking around money. People are also different in the sense that some people are spenders, some people are savers. And the moment you put a spender and a saver together in a relationship, it's crucial to openly discuss your respective comfort levels with spending and saving. Finding compromises and creating a budget that reflects both styles is key. You have to talk about things like debt tolerance, risk appetites for debt, discussing them and not only making a plan that aligns your different appetites for risk is crucial. And after all, if we're talking about money and we're talking about love, I would agree that you could probably love money. But can money really love you back or care for you? I'm not so sure. But this is enough about the insights that I have found in my research. It's time for me to share that promised original content around money and around love languages. So my way of looking at this is slightly different from the 5 love languages. And for me, it's more 5 general concepts around money that I believe can improve your relationship with money and ultimately improve your financial wellness. These 5 principles, as I've mentioned before, are things that I've learned over a very long time through trial and error and experience. And the first one, as I've just mentioned, is around this idea of loving money. So let's start with that. Yes, money cannot really love you back, but you can certainly love money. And in my opinion, that would be a mistake. The moment you love money too much, you run the risk of having a toxic relationship with your money. Even worse, you run the risk of doing things to get money that could be detrimental to the rest of your life, and especially your relationships. Things like dishonesty, gambling, a lack of balance in your life, just working all the time to get more money instead of spending time with your loved ones, spending time with your family. Instead of loving money, I believe the right way to look at it is to say, I appreciate what money allows me to do, and to always remember that everything in life is about sacrifice. What is it that you are prepared to sacrifice in order to get more money? Is it a relationship? Is it your health? Is it even your sanity? I think the final point for me here on appreciating what you can do for money is to always remember to get the balance right between buying more things with money and using that money by investing it in experiences. And if you're uncertain where the healthy balance between these two lie, my suggestion is to always favor experiences over things. The second principle I want to share with you is the principle of having an open hand around your finances. Now, this concept around money is probably the one that took me the longest to learn in my life. You know, money tend to have a strange, almost backwards way of working. The more you want it, the more you try and get it, the more you hoard it, and the more selfish you are around money. For some strange reason, the more difficult it becomes to get more and to keep what you have. I know this sounds weird, but I've seen it over and over again in my life. The more you open your hand and share what you have with others, the more you help people with the money you have, the more it tends to come back to you in the future. Obviously, it is important to still do this in a balanced way, not just give everything away all the time. But again, if you are uncertain where the healthy balance point is, my advice is favor a more open hand. The third general principle I want to talk about is tracking your money. Now, this is an interesting one. I have spoken before about tracking and monitoring your money extensively in some of the previous episodes of IWPK. I've told you how obsessive compulsive I can be about tracking my spending, tracking the progress, positive or negative, that we make in our financial position every month. And I cannot stress enough what this has meant for me in my life. How this single habit over the last 15 years have transformed my relationship with money, how I think about money. Go and listen to episode 2 of IWPK again. It's called You Cannot Manage What You Cannot Measure. I sincerely believe that if you do not manage and monitor your financial position very carefully, maybe not as OCD as I do, but very carefully, you will never really get control over your finances, and you will find it hard to reach the financial goals you may have set for yourself in your life. The fourth concept for me is about being honest about your money. Now, when it comes to honesty in your finances, I'm obviously firstly referring to the people that are close to you, the people that you're in a relationship with, for example, a marriage. Make sure that your partner knows at all times what is going on in your finances. Do not hide things that go wrong. Always talk about it. Talk about what's happening in your finances openly. In fact, as I've already mentioned, plan time together to spend on talking about your finances. I know some married couples keep their money separately. Other married couples throw all of their money together in one account and pay all expenses from there. Others have a hybrid model of these two models. It doesn't really matter what kind of model of financial planning you follow in your marriage. The important thing is honesty. By being honest about what happens in your finances, you can create trust and security for your spouse, something that is absolutely fundamental in any relationship. Secondly, it's also important to be honest with yourself about your finances. Who are you fooling when you lie to yourself about your financial position? Do you really believe the problem will just go away if you simply put your head in the sand like an ostrich and ignore your money problems? And most importantly, are you being honest with yourself about the efforts you put in on the one side in making more money, but also on the other side in managing your expenses well? Simply pretending to put in the effort, but continuing with poor financial habits is simply lying to yourself. And it's one thing to lie to others, but a very different thing to lie to yourself or to try and fool yourself. Start being honest with no one else but yourself about what it is that you are doing with your money. By starting to do the right things every day intentionally to solve the money problems in your life. The answer to this question is contained in the first 10 episodes of IWPK, which are released in 2023. Now, maybe there's some questions around the quality of the episodes. I was, after all, just starting out with my podcast, but I still believe the content of that first 10 episodes is incredibly valuable in terms of giving you tips and recommendations and advice and plans on how to be more clever with your money. But if that's not enough, if you want to know more, I do want to end off today's episode by just giving you one or two more, let's call them less obvious ways, more interesting ways in which I think you can be clever about your money. So the first one is you need to understand how interest works. And not just how it works, but how powerful interest can be, especially when you start moving from paying interest in your life to earning interest in your life. And the weirdest thing for me is how few people actually understand the importance of this in terms of managing your money. How often I see people that simply leave money in a check or a savings account where you earn almost no interest, but you've got a credit card with outstanding debt where you're paying enormous interest rates on. I'm still waiting for the first bank in South Africa that will develop a product where they move the money around for you to optimize the interest you earn and the interest you pay between all of your different accounts. Until that happens, that is something that you will need to learn to do to be more clever about your money. The second one is following the Rich Dad, Poor Dad plan. Again, it's a book that was written in the 90s around earning more passive income in your life. It was written by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's well worth a read. But the important message for me in this is that you need to start as early as you can in your life in earning a passive income. Earning a passive income, for example, from things like business that you start or property that you buy. Now, it's true that they both have lots of pros and cons, and you need to understand the risks of owning a business or owning a property. But if you're not yet there, if you're uncertain of the risks, or you're not yet prepared to take those risks, or the amount of money you have is not enough to start a business or buy a property, the easy way to start building a passive income in your life is by simply investing the money as early as possible. And that brings me to the next point on this topic, investing wisely. Being clever about your money for me is about investing wisely. And I've spent more than one episode of IWPK talking about investment advice. I don't want to spend more time on talking about investment advice today. I just find it interesting. I'm actually surprised about the amount of people that still invest not as wisely as I think you can. Remember, being invested too conservatively for too long can actually cause more harm to your financial position than being invested too aggressively when a market crashes. Why? Simply because being invested too aggressively, as long as you don't react to that market crash, often you will see the market recovering again and you're making up all of those losses. But being invested too conservatively over a long period of time is almost impossible to make up the lower returns that causes. Things like proper diversification in your investment portfolio, proper risk profiling, proper cost management, regular monitoring, and updating of an investment portfolio. That's how you invest wisely. Now, do not make the mistake of taking the money you gave your blood, sweat, and tears for and investing it unwisely. And that brings me to the last point, the final one, to do proper financial planning. I've spent a number of episodes of IWPK talking about the basics of financial planning, and the importance of this. And if it's something that you're not very good at, you're not an expert at it, you don't have experience with it, it's always important to remember that there are professionals out there that can help you to manage your money better, to invest wisely, to understand the concept of interest and passive income a lot better. And how do you find someone that can help you? How do you find someone that you can trust with financial advice? I actually spoke about that in episode 7 of IWPK, called The Understanding of Basic Financial Planning Part 1. For now, all I want to do to add to that is to ask you to reach out to me if you do need help in finding a financial planner. Reach out to me on social media. Send me an email to paul@intentionality with paulkempff.co.za, and I will set you on the road to finding a trusted financial planner. Maybe a good point and a last comment to end off on is a recent experience I had where I was sitting with a client in a restaurant going through their portfolio over lunch, when all of a sudden somebody from a table next to us came to me and asked me for my business card, saying that they are looking for a new financial planner. Now, that is probably not the right way to find a new financial planner, because you never know who you're going to be sitting next to in a restaurant. But at least I can assure you that that person is somebody that will be getting the right financial advice in terms of their investment portfolio. Okay, that's it for this week's episode. I think that's enough. The tip of the week is already done, but I do think it's good to just remind you of the very first tip of the week I gave in episode 1 of IWPK, where I spoke about better understanding your relationship with money. There's a great book to do that. The book is called The Psychology of Money, written by Morgan Housel. And in it, you will find much more than these 5 concepts I have shared with you today around your understanding of money and your relationship with money. Thanks for listening, and see you again next week.
Thanks for watching Intentionality with Paul Kempff. Subscribe, like, and click that bell to get notified when we release more episodes on how to live a life of intention and purpose.